Your goal today is I divide numbers through the thousands. So what we're going to be doing this week is our numbers are going to be getting bigger. And we are going to work on ways to do this with a multiplication chart and without. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to review. So if we have the number 367, and this is being divided by 2, we're going to remember to always start by writing, does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers? Or divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down. So when we do this, we look at this number by number. So 3 divided by 2. I am going to think, how many groups of 2 can I make if I have 3? So I can grab my multiplication chart and I can go to my 2's column and I'm looking for the number closest to 3 without going over. I see that's 2, which means 3 divided by 2 is 1. So I'm going to write 1 up top. I divided. Now I need to multiply. When I multiply, I do my top times my side. So 1 times 2. And 1 times 2 is 2. My answer goes down below. So now I've multiplied. Next is subtract. 3 minus 2. And 3 minus 2 is 1. Now I need to check. Is 1 less than 2? 1 is less than 2. So I'm good to go. So I bring down my next number. And my next number is 6. So I have 16 divided by 2. So again, I'm going to go to my 2's column and I see the number 16 right here. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. So I am going to write 8 up top. So I have divided. Now I need to multiply. I multiply my new top number times the side. 8 times 2. Not 18 times 2, just my one new number, 8 times 2. And 8 times 2 is 16, so I multiplied. Now I must subtract. 16 minus 16 is 0. Check. Is 0 less than 2? It sure is. Bring down. So I need to bring down my 7. Which means the last number that I am dividing is 7 divided by 2. So again, I can look at my multiplication chart and I'm looking for the number closest to 7 without going over. So I see that that is 6. So 7 divided by 2, the closest number is 6, so that I can make 3 groups. So I'm going to put a 3 up here, and 3 times 2 is 6. So I divided and I multiplied. Now I subtract. 7 minus 6 is 1. I need to check. Is 1 less than 2? It sure is. There is nothing to bring down, which means that this is my remainder. So my answer would be 183, remainder 1. So that is just an example of how we use does McDonald's serve cheeseburgers. Now, what I've noticed is that a lot of us have become confused because when we can't divide, we just move on without holding the place value of that number. So we're going to do another example where we need to hold place values. So we have 5,036 divided by 6. So now if I'm thinking about my division, I'm only going to look at my 6 column to figure this out. So the first thing we have is 5 divided by 6. If I have 5 things, how many groups of 6 can I make? So I need to find the number in the 6 column that is closest to 5 without going over. Well, there isn't one. The first number is 6. So I actually need to put a giant 0 here. And then I need to move to the next place value. So I have 50 divided by 6. Now, again, I'm going to look in my 6 column for the number closest to 50 without going over. And I see that it's right here. And that is 8 times. So 50 divided by 6 is, I can make 8 groups. So I'm going to put an 8 up top. So I divided. Now I need to multiply. 8 times 6. And 8 times 6 is 48. I must subtract. 50 minus 48 is 2. Check. Is 2 less than 6? It sure is. Then it's time to bring down our 3. Now, our next division problem is 23 divided by 6. So I'm going to look in my 6 column and find my number closest to 23 without going over. Well, 24 is close, but it's too much. So it's going to be 18, which is 1, 2, 3. So it goes in 3 times. I divided. Now I must multiply. 3 times 6 is 18. S stands for subtract. 23 minus 18 is 5. Check. Is 5 less than 6? It sure is. Then I get to bring down my 6. So now I have 56 divided by 6. So looking in my 6 column, I need to find the number closest to 56 without going over. I see it right here with 54, and that is 9 times. So I'm going to put my 9 up top. I divided. Now I need to multiply. 9 times 6 is 54. Next is subtract. 56 minus 54, that would be 2. I'll write that over here. Now I check. Is 2 less than 6? It sure is. Bring down. There's nothing left to bring down, so this is my remainder. So my answer is 839, remainder 2. We will do one more example. So 2,054 divided by 5. Again, I start with divide. 2 divided by 5. If I want to use my multiplication chart, I am looking in the 5s column this time because that is my number on the side. So I'm looking for the number 2 or a number close to it without going over. Well, if I look at my 5s column, my first number is a 5, so that's too much. So I have to write a giant 0 here. Then I move over. Now I have 20 divided by 5. And 20 divided by 5, if I look in my column, is 4. So I divided. Now I need to multiply. Top times side. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract. 20 minus 20 is 0. Check. Is 0 less than 5? It sure is. Bring it on down. Now, our new division problem is 5 divided by 5. And if I look at my sheet, I see 5 right here. So I know that's 1 time. So I'm going to put a 1 up top. I divided. Now I need to multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. Subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. Check. Is 0 less than 5? It sure is. Bring down. So now I have 4 divided by 5. If I have 4 things, I cannot make any groups of 5. So I need to make sure I put a 0 up here and still go through the process. 0 times 5 is 0. I subtract, I get 4. So I did my first steps. I check. 4 is less than 5. There's nothing to bring down. So this 4 down here at the bottom would be my remainder. So my answer would be 410, remainder 4. So even though I could make 0 groups here, I still had to put this in here to hold the place because or else we have the answer 41. And 41 is not the correct answer. 5 goes into 2,054 410 times. So make sure that when you are unable to make groups, you put a 0 above to ensure that you have all of the place value positions accounted for. We will go over this today in morning meeting, but this is a good review of dividing through the thousands.